A lot of us like to drive fast, right? Some of us occasionally get speeding tickets for it. I swear, I did not know the speed limit was 45 in that section of Highway 20. Anyway, most of us would also like to design fast too. But the reality is, a lot of times our projects take much longer than we want or expected them to take. But what if I told you your next design equipped with LoRaWAN could be up and running in 15 minutes? Yep. I'm talking about a fully integrated solution with a device module, gateway, cloud infrastructure that also includes in-field IoT device deployment, modern microprocessor and peripherals, and a host of software and firmware support in less time than that pizza is going to take to get to your office. Hi, I'm Amelia Dalton, host of Chalk Talk. In this episode of Chalk Talk, Jordan Nolen from Digi, Kirk Benell from SparkFun Electronics, and Chris Boross from Raspberry Pi and I delve into the details of the SparkFun Digi X-ON Kit for LoRaWAN. We examine the motivation behind the creation of this kit, the benefits that the IoT Node board for LoRaWAN brings to the table, and how the SparkFun Digi X-ON Kit for LoRaWAN can get your next design up and running in no time. And before we get started, don't forget to click that link. There you can find even more information about this topic. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Excellent. And hi, Kirk. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you.
And hi, Jordan. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent. Okay, Jordan, we're talking about the SparkFun Digi X-ON Kit for LoRaWAN today. But before we dig into the details, what kind of benefits are we looking at with LoRaWAN?
Three main features that we typically tell customers from the get-go, right? First of all, long-range capability. LoRaWAN can transmit data over miles, making it ideal for most remote IoT deployments that customers have. Second, low power consumption. LoRaWAN devices can operate on battery power for years, which helps customers build sustainable and cost-effective products. And then third, it's a highly scalable solution, right? So the LoRaWAN ecosystem supports thousands of devices on a single gateway, which makes it perfect for small scale as well as like enterprise level IoT networks. These three features are really what make LoRaWAN a go-to technology for most industrial IoT applications for low power, wide area network solutions.
Great. Now, Jordan, can you also explain the architecture of LoRaWAN a bit?
Yeah, I can do that. So LoRaWAN architecture, typically three main pieces, right? Or four if you want to look at it that way. But at a high level, every LoRaWAN system has end devices or nodes, gateways, a network server, which also contains what's called a join server, and an application server, right? So in order to build a LoRaWAN networked solution, you typically have to have all of those. And there's a variety of ways to incorporate those into your solution, but generally that's kind of from a high level what it takes to build a LoRaWAN network. And so the thing that happens, right, is it's been successful for the last while. We've seen that Semtech has sold over 1 billion LoRa chips. And what this leads to is you now have over 2,000 certified LoRaWAN devices, 50 or more brands of gateways, and you also have 20 to 30 major LoRaWAN network providers as well. So it's a robust and growing ecosystem. But with that, there can be a lot of noise and a lot of confusion, and generally can be a real challenge for customers to navigate that market and figure out how to configure or deploy the right combination, right? So that can be a pretty complex task. And as you can imagine, a company needs to typically have quite a bit of expertise to know how to navigate it. So common challenges are things like integration issues, right? Will this gateway work with this cloud or network or with these devices? All that can also lead to high development costs, right? Customers don't really know where to get started or may go down a path that, becomes a dead end months later and they have to start over and may run out of funds at that point. And it can also be a long time to market, right? So with all the options there and with all of the engineering opinions that start to happen when, products are co-engineered with multiple solution providers, it can lead to months of headaches and challenges. So what we did is we built what we call X-ON, right? And so this is a unified solution for LoRaWAN that really is designed to help customers overcome this and really not have to spend any time integrating and get straight to building and focusing on their application that they're trying to do.
Jordan, explain to me how Digi X-ON fits in here.
Yeah, so like I said, customers sometimes face a lot of complexity when deploying those IoT networks, and X-ON is an end-to-end LoRaWAN solution that really abstracts that for the customer, and they do not have to become a LoRaWAN expert to use this solution, right? So for customers that want to build something on LoRaWAN but don't necessarily want to spend the time and resources to become LoRaWAN experts, X-ON's a perfect fit. And so what we're able to do is, as Digi, we have our XBee product line, right? Starting at the client device level, right? We can provide XBee modules. So customers that want to build something and incorporate LoRaWAN connectivity into that product, we have a module for that. We also have some other devices like our intelligent edge controller, which we'll save for another day. We also have gateways, right? So like I said on that previous slide, is you do have to have a gateway for a LoRaWAN solution, and it's different hardware than a client device, right? So these are purpose-built devices that are specific for certain ISM regions, right? So we build US 915 and EU 868 gateways for both indoor and outdoor environments. And then we have development tools like our Scan and Go provisioning app that you see there on this slide. And that's really to help it make it easy for onboarding and deploying these devices, right? So customers can scan a data matrix or QR code on the back of one of our gateways or on our modules and easily add that gateway or device into their network, right? So they can go to their channel partner, buy one, deploy it, and it really reduces the time that it takes to configure a gateway and, again, have to have all that LoRaWAN knowledge to know what to do with a LoRaWAN gateway. So we try to help customers bypass that. And then we also do managed applications for some customers to where we really do their customer application, their end user application. Or we can also do real-time data streaming out of X-ON. So if you've got a dashboard, let's say built with something like Toggle.io, we could send the data there. Or if you're using something like Ignition or any of these many platforms, or perhaps a platform that you've built that you want to incorporate LoRaWAN nodes into your solution, we could stream data straight into that application as well. So that kind of helps customers with an easy to integrate, fast to market, scalable deployment option around LoRaWAN. So that's kind of what we're trying to help customers avoid, that interoperability, co-engineering pain points of deploying LoRaWAN and make it simple. And so we have a few pieces of hardware to go into if you have questions.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk more about those gateways you mentioned, and specifically indoor gateways.
Yeah, so our indoor gateway, that's referred to as our HX15 indoor gateway. And it is designed for indoor LoRaWAN connectivity, right? So we have different models of this gateway. Typically, LoRaWAN gateways, you do have to buy it for the region that you're going to be deploying, right? So a US 915 LoRaWAN region would require that 900 megahertz gateway for North America. And then for like Europe, you'd have to use that 868 megahertz gateway. Our gateways come with Ethernet connectivity as well as built-in LTE. There's a dual-core CPU that's actually a Digi component that we use in our own gateways. So these are built by Digi, programmed by Digi. We're very proud of these gateways. They also include our Scan and Go activation, like I mentioned earlier. So there's a QR code on the back of these gateways. Very simple to deploy a gateway, sometimes in 15 minutes or less. And all of them connect into the Digi cloud. And the nice thing, since our network server and joint server sit at the cloud level, customers can put tens of thousands of devices connecting through one gateway into X-ON, right? So the HX15 is really a perfect option for smart buildings, industrial environments, enterprise IoT networks where reliable indoor connectivity is crucial.
Excellent. Now, what about outdoor gateways?
Yeah, so for outdoor deployments, we have our Digi HX20. It's built for rugged environments with an IP65 rated enclosure. Like the HX15, it supports LoRaWAN, LTE, and Ethernet backhaul, but it also has a GPS or GNSS included for location-based access so you can know where you've deployed these gateways. And also comes with a pole and wall-mounting kit. So everything a customer needs in that box to install their gateway is in the package, which is very nice. And it's an ideal solution for any of these private LoRaWAN networks that people are deploying. So if you had a school campus or an agriculture application, you could stick up an HX20 and provide coverage for miles around the vicinity, right? Again, and it comes with all those features, like I said, like the scan and go activation and the Digi X-ON cloud management of our gateways. So yeah, great solution for outdoor LoRaWAN networks.
Fantastic. Now, you also mentioned the Digi XBee LR solution as well. So, talk to me about the details of that.
Yeah, so as Digi, you may know that we have our XB product line, our brand. We've got more exciting news that's going to be shared later this year on XB, but one of the new kids on the block for XB is our Digi XBee LR, which is a LoRaWAN module, right? So we have a LoRaWAN stack running on this module, which means that it can hook to those gateways that I showed you and X-ON, but it can also work with any third-party LoRaWAN gateways or networks out there, right? So customers that have already invested into a LoRaWAN ecosystem through gateways and a network provider could still build something with the Digi XBee LR. This is a device that is software switchable, so it can be changed from 915 to 868. So one SKU can be used for products that are being deployed in North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. It supports Class A and Class C LoRaWAN modes. You can always dive into more of the LoRaWAN nerdy, geeky details if you like. And then we also support the X-ON Cloud and API mode and AT commands with this module. So if customers are familiar with tools like XB Studio and in general how the XB API mode works, then they're going to find the XBLR very easy to use and to adapt to, right? So if they're familiar with our tools and our other XB products, the XBLR is going to be a great fit for them if they want to try out LoRaWAN with XB. The tricky thing when you present a whole solution like this to customers is you really want the ability for a customer to try all of this out. And, seeing is believing sometimes when it comes to this stuff. And so, that's where we leaned on SparkFun and came to them with the idea to build a kit around this and even to develop a board to where customers could try all of these wonderful features that we've built in a meaningful experience, right? Customers are often looking for a sensor to pair with a radio. They find an off-the-shelf sensor and it doesn't quite fit their needs, so they want to go build one. And so we worked with SparkFun to help, bring the Digi LoRaWAN solution, the X-ON solution, to a broader audience. And I think with that, Kirk's going to tell us a little bit about what they've achieved.
Absolutely. So, Kirk, let's talk about SparkFun's history in LoRaWAN.
Absolutely. We love LoRaWAN. We love the promise of LoRaWAN. It's an open radio, kind of an open standard. And we've tried working with it over the years and with minimal success. It's difficult to develop the solutions. There's a lot of low-level needs and a lot of, we'll call it bit twiddling and other things. And then you have a gateway that's compatible and then associated cloud and middleware solution that's compatible. And they're often from different vendors and they don't work well together. And then you have to go register a board with keys and numbers and, cookies or whatever you want to call them. And, it's hard for our users to do that. It sounds simple, but some people just, it's difficult to provision the board and especially at scale. And then you have to, our end customers often have to monitor the gateway. Is it up? Is it running? Is there maintenance required? You need a developer to do that. We had a LoRa gateway here at our headquarters and someone asked, is it still working? And it had been down 6 months because we're not good network providers here. If we did something going forward, we wanted to do something that's really complete as a unified solution and really eliminates the barriers we've experienced in the past. And we've worked with Digi before over the years. We had some released products with them about 1.5 years ago, and we released the product. It's great. And then they I want you to meet this Jordan guy and the LoRaWAN stuff here. And initially we were a little skeptical, but once we saw what Digi had provided, what they put together, it's a fully integrated solution that really resolves all the issues we saw in the past. It's well, we know Digi. We like working with Digi. Let's look at doing a board together. And that really brought us onto this adventure the past, I'd say, year of really developing an LoRaWAN board using Digi solution and then kind of our common SparkFun technologies and a little Raspberry Pi processor in there too. We look at what we wanted to provide. We wanted to integrated LoRaWAN a network solution via Digi. So using their module, the cloud solution, and really support, in-field IoT device development, low power, enclosure ready, and able to add a sensor quickly. We wanted a modern microprocessor and peripherals, and rapid expansion and software development solutions. So something that customers can easily start with and expand into their specific needs. We also wanted to support our SparkFun Quick ecosystem, which is a series of sensors for about up to 200 now. It's a common cable, and it works over I2C, but it's also the software that goes along with that and really makes prototyping, really working with dev boards, put something together quickly to show off. And we set a goal for ourselves out of the box. I get a box from SparkFun and Digi, and within 15 minutes, we want to be posting data from a sensor to the cloud. Unheard of. But we wanted to do that. It was exciting, and we thought it was a good goal, and we were pretty confident we achieved it, and we did.
Yeah. And Kirk, I'd add too, just if it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you said there, especially posting data in less than 15 minutes with an OEM-based solution, right? I mean, we're not talking about like a finished sensor that's ready to go, but I mean, really, this is a customizable option that you can do in less than 15 minutes, which the pairing of those two always sounds, you don't get both, right?
Absolutely. And, if we look at our board and what we did a unique thing with our dev board. We kind of divided it in half. On the top, we have all the XBee stuff. So it's, the XBee LR module. We can access it with USB connector, USB-C, to get to the module. So you maybe need to reflash the module or, do some special low-level thing there. And we actually broke out a lot of the pins from this module too, so they're available on the board. And then the lower half is kind of a standard dev kit microprocessor solution that's based on the Raspberry Pi RP2350, which we've done several boards with. We're a great partner with Raspberry Pi, and we're very happy to bring them on board. And we took all our stuff we do on our Raspberry Pi dev boards and threw it on here. So it's got 16 megabytes of onboard flash for all the sensor information you want, or firmware. We also added 8 megabytes of PS RAM. So 8 megabytes of RAM available on this thing. If you really want to go nuts and maybe throw some MicroPython on there, it supports MicroPython. It supports Arduino development. It also supports the Pico SDK that Raspberry Pi provides. And it's got our standard SparkFun features, USB-C, LiPo support, so you can connect a battery to this and charge a battery. We even threw a multi-color LED on this with a variety of I/O pins. We think it's a fantastic board. It's worked out really well, and our customers really love it.
Fantastic. Now, Kirk, what kind of goals were you looking at for the next LoRaWAN IoT breakout board?
We wanted it to be, really easy to use, low power, enclosure ready, have a really good microprocessor and peripherals, but also a really good software development solution. So something that allows someone to do a deployment quite rapidly, or if they really want to do a very detailed oriented application, have the development environment support that also. We also wanted to ship the board. So when you get this board from us, it has a already provisioned and ready to go LoRaWAN, I'll call it application, in the firmware that's flashed at the board. You just plug it in, and as long as you have a registered Digi gateway, and you can use the Scan and Go application that Digi provides with the module on the board, you can register the board quickly and have sensor data posting on the actual cloud within 15 minutes.
Wow. Okay. So, Kirk, give me some more details about this board.
The board really is built off our standard SparkFun development board philosophy, which is really give customers everything they need, but also make it easy to use. So if you want to just plug it in and maybe connect a sensor to it, you can with no soldering required. Really, it's just using our quick ecosystem, just a couple wires, cables, and plug it into the sensor. We have LiPo battery support if you want to put this in the field. So our vision is you want to take this board, hook it to a battery, connect it to the LoRa network, put a soil sensor on there and throw it in the field to, monitor moisture in the soil, or a temperature sensor, and they can monitor the weather conditions around the board. Just really available for use. And additionally, all the peripherals customers like an SD card, a programmable button, an RGB LED, all available to the end user to make use of this board and make it what they want, but also with simplified and easy access to the LoRaWAN network via what Digi provides.
All right, Chris, so let's talk specifically about the RP2350. What benefits does this solution bring to the table?
Thank you for asking. This is our second generation microcontroller. It's a modern microcontroller with our signature values of accessibility, ease of use, and affordability. And it was designed by our in-house chip team. It's a dual-core, dual-architecture microcontroller that contains a pair of Cortex M33 high-performance embedded micro CPUs with floating point units, as well, and those are the default processors for the system. And it also contains a pair of 32-bit homegrown RISC-V cores designed and developed by one of our an in-house ASIC team. And that's an open source core. You can look at the source code on GitHub. It combines the dual-core, dual-architecture CPUs with 520 kilobytes of high-performance on-chip SRAM. As well as our security features, we have a rich set of peripherals in the chip, including 3 PIO cores. And PIO stands for Programmable I/O. There's some homegrown special source that provides software-defined peripherals to the ARM CPUs. They're basically coprocessors, programmable coprocessors that can run separate instruction stream from the ARM CPUs that provides the ability to do software-defined peripherals, such as things like Ethernet or CAN, RS485, or customer-defined protocols over the GPO, offering a lot of flexibility and a lot of performance. And we've coupled that with a new peripheral called our HSTX, which is a high-speed transmitter. It allows you to do very, very high-speed serial output. You can even use it to do things like DVI video output as well from the chip at nominal clock frequencies. So pretty impressive for a sub-$1 microcontroller. And the chip comes in 4 different flavors. We have a 7x7 QFN with 30 GPIOs, which is the one that's used on the SparkFun LoRa dev board that we're talking about today. And there's also another package, which is the 10x10 QFN, and that has an additional 18 GPIOs and additional ADC channels as well. So if you've got a higher I/O count application, you've got packages for various different sort of styles of product. And we also have versions of both those 7x7 and 10x10 packages that contain 2 megabytes of stacked QSPI flash as well. So if you want to build a really compact, really integrated solution, we have an integrated flash in package for those. And with the chip, obviously, chip's just part of the product offering. Really important is great documentation as well. So we've spent a lot of time developing a great data sheet, over 1,000 pages for this chip. And it contains pretty much registered definitions for the whole chip. It includes, which is somewhat unique, it includes basically how all of our security architecture works inside of the chip as well. And you don't need an NDA or any type of vetting to get access to it. It's up on the website now. You can click on it and download it. And with the documentation, we provide a fantastic open source SDK for the chip as well. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But it's a C and C++ SDK. And not just Raspberry Pi software, but there's a ton of fantastic community software projects that have been ported to both this chip and its predecessor, the RP2040. And one thing that we did with this chip was we drastically reduced the power consumption when compared to the first generation microcontroller from Raspberry Pi, which was the RP2040. So this makes this chip much more suitable for things like battery-operated devices or devices that are using things like solar cells to power themselves. So much more applicable to low-power applications.
Excellent. Now, Chris, can we also talk about the software component to this solution?
Absolutely, yes. So the standard offering for RP2350 is what we call the Pico SDK, which is a C and C++ SDK that supports both our first generation and our second generation microcontrollers. So that's RP2040 as well as RP2350. And the RP2350 supports both the ARM CPU and RISC-V CPUs. So the whole SDK can be built for either generation of chip as well as both architectures that are supported inside the RP2350. And that's all wrapped up in CMake. It's very easy to use. You just issue it the right command line, build configuration, and CMake takes care of all the complexity for you. As well as that, we supply a whole bunch of example applications. So various different things like secure boot, encrypted second stage bootloader binaries are on their way. And as I mentioned, HSTX has got the ability to do DVI video output. So we have reference applications to show you how to do that. And we've got some cool helper functionality as well that comes along with the chip. So Pico tool, it's an open source tool that we provide that allows you to do things like OTP programming and interfacing with the on-chip boot ROM over USB or serial. So that makes things like production line programming and diagnostics really easy. We have a new VS Code plugin for the open source VS Code editor. It makes it really easy to get up and running in a few minutes. And we support things like OpenOCD for debugging of the chip. We have fantastic community and third-party software projects, including MicroPython that Kirk mentioned earlier. We also support Google Pigweed and their open source software. And Rust has been ported to this chip, as well as Arduino Core.
Fantastic. Okay, so Kirk, how do we put this all together?
We made a board, and Digi provided the entire LoRaWAN stack. And how does this all fit together? And really, it comes down to we have a IoT Node LoRaWAN board that has a XON XBee LR module on it, which communicates from the board through LoRa, which is a wireless protocol. And that then sends its data back and forth to a LoRa gateway. And then from there, that information gets ported or pushed up to the Digi XON IoT platform via Ethernet or LTE through a more of a high-speed, consistent network data connection. And from there, the XON platform will then relay this information up to IoT dashboards or really maybe some data analytics software. Depends on what the customer wants to do. So it goes from a small, low-power node and through a gateway to the cloud and then to some data analytics software to kind of form an overall LoRaWAN stack is what I like to call it. That gives a total solution for the customer and what they want to provide.
So Kirk, talk to me about the software development aspect here.
Yes, absolutely. As Chris mentioned earlier, the RP2350 and what the Raspberry Pi team has delivered for that microprocessor, a wide variety of software is available. For our development board, really based off of the Raspberry Pi RP2350, we start with Arduino. So our board is defined within the Arduino community and the Arduino community implementation. We have XBee LR access via an XBee Arduino library from Digi. So Digi's put together an Arduino library for use with this board and really with the XBee LR module. This also provides a wide access to our quick device drivers that we've developed at SparkFun. As mentioned earlier, we have about 200 plus sensors available through our quick ecosystem, and all of them have Arduino libraries provided with them. And you can put that together and do some custom development and use Arduino to build a really nice solution for this board. Additionally, since it's RP2350, if you want to go to just straight C or C++, you can use the Raspberry Pi Pico SDK, as Chris mentioned. And then from there, you can actually leverage the XBee library from Digi. It's a low-level C library to communicate to the module. And if you want to go the different direction, go the higher level, MicroPython is available for this board. We're about finished with that port. We don't have a library to communicate with the module, but it's pretty straightforward to do. But if you want to do Python, do some Python development, that's available with this board also.
So, Kirk, this solution also includes a firmware application as well, right? So talk to me about that.
Absolutely. One of the goals, as mentioned earlier, is we wanted a customer to plug this board in, plug a sensor, and have it up and running and posting data to the LoRaWAN cloud, the XON cloud, within 15 minutes. And we had some software here at SparkFun that enables that framework we have called Flux. And so we created a firmware application that runs on this board that automatically registers with the LoRaWAN cloud application, automatically detects and identifies and uses 28 plus SparkFun quick sensors. Just plug the sensor in, boot up the board, and it'll recognize it and then start posting data to the LoRaWAN. And this is all available or all configured via the serial console menu. So it's no programming required, but it's highly customizable. Automatically recognize the sensor, connect to the LoRaWAN, and then start packing the data for use within the LoRaWAN system that Digi provides. That's really key. One of the key things to this application is packing the data in a very small data packets that are sent up to the LoRaWAN and getting that coordinated from our application to the XON cloud and working with Digi to make a really unified solution. Works quite well. This package is all open source. It's extensible. It's built using our framework we have at SparkFun called Flux, and it's on GitHub. And if people want to do customization, they can. We will be adding more sensors to this over the months forward with this product and see how it goes. But at the end of the day, we flash this application on the board in production. And when the customer gets the board, plugs it in, registers with the Digi XON LoRaWAN, you have data being published within minutes.
So, Jordan, give us a high-level overview of the SparkFun IoT Node kit.
I have to first just say, hearing both Kirk and Chris speak to what they brought to this. It gets me excited again. And I kind of go, I'm so glad we went this direction with these teams. And it's what we've really built is it's this little LoRaWAN Ferrari that can do so many cool applications for customers. So I'm excited to see what people come up with. So from a kit overview, so like we talked at the very beginning, a LoRaWAN network really does require all those pieces. And as Digi, we provide that full solution. And it's important that customers get to start off right away with a kit that gives them access to everything, right? So we include, like Kirk mentioned, SparkFun's including one of those nodes, as well as a combo environmental sensor that's plugged in to that board, and an HX15 gateway in this kit, as well as access to our Scan and Go provisioning app. And then we also have, access to X-ON, so customers can see their network performance, see their LTE connectivity, and all the wonderful network insights we provide at the X-ON level. And then we also built a demo application directly in X-ON, so customers can see that combo sensor in a usable dashboard environment, right? So if a customer said, hey, we want Digi to build a full dashboard for our end customers, they kind of get an idea of what that could look like. And customers can also stream that data out, right? So we're, like I mentioned earlier, we're working with some other partners like Togo.io to where customers could have this SparkFun IoT node and pick one of those variety of sensors that are supported through that quick connection, and then build a dashboard in something like Togo and immediately have a full IoT solution around a sensor that they can then go showcase to a customer or to shareholders or somebody who's interested in what they're building. So yeah, it's very exciting.
So is this kit also available as a standalone board?
Yeah, so both options exist at SparkFun. I mean, I guess since I'm talking, I'll keep talking, but Kirk, you can probably take over too. But yeah, the board is available as a IoT node for customers that want to just buy one node or buy more nodes. And, I'm sure if they can sell a baker's dozen of the nodes, SparkFun's not going to be upset. So yeah, customers can buy nodes, build different sensor products around the node, but they can also buy the kit and get a node that way as well. Another thing I think important to add there too, I mean, we obviously want customers to come try out X-ON and see what we have built there. But in that node and the serial interface that they built, that node can connect to other LoRaWAN networks as well. Customers start to see all those challenges like we mentioned earlier on, but this is standard LoRaWAN protocol we're doing. It's nothing proprietary, so it will work with other LoRaWAN systems out there. We've already tested a few ourselves, but I would encourage people to try out Digi X-ON and go that path if they want the easiest path forward with deploying.
So when my audience is looking to purchase one of these solutions from Digi, what SKUs should they keep in mind?
As for the Digi part numbers, yeah, we have gateways, XBee modules, as well as those IEC devices that are in the channel and available for customers to purchase. So the indoor gateways, the outdoor gateways, the XBee LR modules, as well as the Digi IEC that we didn't talk about today, but you can always go take a look and check it out on the Digi website.
Okay, great. Well, this was super cool. Thank you so much for joining me, Kirk.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you for joining me, Jordan.
Yeah, anytime.
And thank you for joining me, Chris, as well.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
And before we go, you didn't forget to click that link, did you? There you can find even more information about this topic. For Chalk Talks, I'm Amelia Dalton from eejournal.com. For more Chalk Talks, head on over to the Chalk Talk section of EE Journal. You can't miss it, it's right across the top. Or head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/EE Journal.